Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is listening, and particularly listening to the whispers of our soul and emboldening that voice to lead us into inspired action, and looking at how would our lives be different if indeed we empowered that voice. So before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, and creating this brilliant beam of light from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Rub your fingers and against your palms, rub your palms together, feel that friction, that temperature, the energy, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Rosalind. How wonderful to start the week with you. And welcome to everybody else who's joining us. So good to be here with you. So the whispers of our soul, what we're talking about is listening, and a deep listening, maybe a listening into not only the whispers of your soul, but the whispers of the universe. And what does that look like? To be in nature, to listen to nature, to be nourished by the sounds and sights and sensations of it. What does it mean to connect, and what would be different about our lives if we did? I had the most interesting conversation yesterday, and it kind of blew me away to realize that well, it's not a revelation to know that not everyone shares the same worldview or perspective, right? When we encounter people all the time who have very different worldviews. But in this conversation, I discovered that this person I was speaking to had no sense or desire, in fact, for meaning or purpose. Like it wasn't even part of the conversation for them. And I am still kind of dumbstruck by that revelation, to conceive that that's even possible, that someone can live without a sense of meaning or purpose. And maybe that makes me extremely naive, but I realized on a very deep level that I can't imagine life without at least the search for meaning and purpose. I can't begin to fathom it. It might as well be that we are from completely different planets and universes, and that there's no calling toward contribution. Just amazing to me. And also on the part of this person, a feeling of a lack of engagement or responsibility or effectiveness, just the attitude of, well, I can't do anything about it. And being quite content with that, like not engaging with the world. And I just am still rather dumbstruck. Maybe that makes me super naive. It may, because we even talked about climate change and things that we could do, and this person said, well, do you think the majority of people think that way? And I said, well, no, recognizing that we're in an emergency. And that was an excuse to not recognize that we're in an emergency, or that there was a need for action. It was appalling. Just to I was just completely flabbergasted, and I that's a bridge I don't know how to cross. And so, in listening, I've also started reading a beautiful book called, I forget if it's called Einstein and the Rabbi, or the Rabbi and Einstein, but it's very much talking about listening to your soul and being guided by your soul. And so this conversation this morning is about listening to the whispers. At first they start as whispers because we do so much to silence those voices, or that voice of our inner soul song in so many ways. And whether we do it or we come by that silencing through our culture and our surroundings. It's very interesting because as I look at my my family, my origins, this was not a conversation in my family. What is the calling of your soul? What is your purpose? What is your mission? It was not a conversation. And so I'm not certain how I came by it. I think it may have been I had what I call an enlightenment experience when I was 15, where my awareness transcended time and space and physicalness and knowing and identity and all of that. And maybe that's what led me to this very divergent path from that of my origins. I don't know. I wonder how it is that I think that so many people come upon this search for meaning in times of crisis, when, like, so many, they call it a midlife crisis oftentimes, when people get to a place of saying, my life should be happy. I've got all the things. I've got the partner, I've got the family, I've got the picket fence and the dog and the cars and the what it is that I was looking for, and I'm miserable and empty and lost. And it's often in those times that we start to listen or start to seek those whispers, to seek the meaning, to seek the purpose, and seek our path, to seek the whispers that are uniquely our own. Rosalind says, as a child, I was told no more often I was told, oh, okay, I got it. As a child, I was told no more often than encouraged to listen or tune into what the soul wants to do. You and pretty much everybody else in our culture, Rosalind. You know, that's not something that typically most of us were raised into, is to look at what is your soul's calling? What would make you happy? In my family, it was, how are you going to make a living? You know, forget about what you want, forget about how you feel. How are you going to make money? Um, so that was something that was primary in my family, and I'm seeing it projected through the generations. And it's only, for me anyway, it's only through listening to the calling of my soul that I have ever found any kind of fulfillment. You know, the other things I've done that weren't originating from what were at first whispers ended up feeling profoundly empty and unfulfilling and soul killing for me, actually. And I imagine that I'm not alone in that. You know, I know I am reminded of a friend who is this remarkable human being who had come to this place in her life where she had all the things, you know, she had all the achievements and all the superficial things that would say that she had arrived, that, you know, she was successful. And she just had this soul searing pain and emptiness and despair. And then she found her purpose and has gone on to be making a profound difference in the world. And I truly deeply believe that we all come here with a purpose that is part of our unique calling, you know, something that brings us into a fuller expression of our essence. But I personally can't imagine. I would have been long gone. You know, if I were to try to imagine having no connection to that sense of meaning or purpose, um, in some capacity, or some, you know, some kind of expression that would be the fulfillment of my soul song, I would have been, I would have checked out. I was on the edge of checking out, you know, for the better portion of my life, in fact, until I finally started having a willingness to listen to what my soul was calling to express. And I talk about that with you guys a lot. I mean, that's really what has given me my life. And I imagine that it would do the same for so many others, you know, not my purpose, but their purpose. Whatever it is, it might be making beautiful music. Um, it might be nurturing and nourishing others in your life. It could be very, very, very simple. It doesn't have to be something that changes the whole world. It doesn't have to be something on a grand scale. It's something that calls to your heart and soul. And what a different world it might be, Rosalind, if indeed parents encourage their children to listen and tune in to their soul's calling. You know, what a different world it would be if each of us did that. And there was a concept in this book, the Einstein and the Rabbi, or the Rabbi and Einstein. Like I said, I don't remember the exact title. Just, it was a gift to me, and it's a beautiful, beautiful book so far. And frankly, it echoes so much of what we talk about here with you guys. But there was a concept in Jewish tradition that says that the soul, the high soul, can actually depart and leave. And I've never heard of that concept, but we've probably all encountered people that we might consider soulless, like people who are just deeply disconnected. And it's kind of an alarming idea. Apparently the soul could be restored. That, I guess it's in the 23rd Psalm, restoreth my soul, maybe. I don't have it in easy memory at the moment, but that was an interesting concept. I think we need restored souls deeply, because that's what keeps us connected with life. So Rosalind says, adult and inner child together, reunited, happy, and merging the two into one. Together they can exist, needing an environment of safety first. It's interesting. First of all, I love that you're talking about adult and inner child reunited. I think that that's really powerful, because what happens is that we get fragmented from the time of childhood, and either we disown those parts or we become dissociated from them, and maybe go numb to them. And I think rather than needing an environment of safety for the adult and inner child to reunite, that union helps to create safety. And maybe what you're saying is that we need an environment of safety to listen more closely. I'm inclined to say that wasn't the case for me. It was when I was feeling bereft, when I wasn't feeling safe, I wasn't feeling whole, that I even more actively engaged in the pursuit of meaning. Although I remember being a young teen, or even 12 years old, crying and well, maybe not 12, maybe it was a bit after that, but crying and just wanting to know what I was doing here. I think it probably was after my experience, saying, what in the world? What am I doing here? What is the point of this? What's my purpose? What is the meaning of all of this? And feeling so deeply in despair around it. So guys, if you are writing comments and I'm not responding, please go to the Enlightened World Network Facebook page or their YouTube channel. And you can put your comments in there, and then I should see them, then I can respond to them. We'd love to have you engaging in the conversation here. But the key is to start listening, and those things show up as whispers at first, for sure. And oftentimes what happens is those whispers are presenting something that might feel outrageous or so out of the mainstream of our experience that we're inclined to ignore them or make excuses to brush them away. And it takes, to your point about safety, Rosalind, it takes some courage. It takes some courage to be able to listen and to then follow with inspired action. Because those actions may be disrupting the status quo. In fact, it's probably quite likely that that those whisperings would be disruptive of the status quo. But you get to move into that. The rewards of moving into that are so much greater than and are a cure for the despair of the disconnection and isolation that are there when you're not listening. Good morning, Bernadette. So good to have you here with us this Monday morning. Welcome, and welcome to everybody else who's joining us. We're talking about listening and really listening to the yearnings of your soul, listening to your heart and soul's calling, and allowing that to move you into a space of greater authentic expression and fulfillment. But I can say that for years and years and years, I just cried and begged to know what I was doing here, what my purpose was. And it may be that my desperation was so profound that I missed the calling itself. So Rosalind says, how to discern between indifference/denial versus listening to whispers, not dulling versus giving your heart permission to fulfill its desire. Well, I think the discernment between indifference and listening to whispers, I think that we have the opportunity to move beyond the indifference, because the indifference is soul killing. You know, to be in denial about our deepest yearnings is to deny our life force. And when we do that, it actually withers our life force. Bernadette says, I've always listened to my inner self and traveled this world many times alone, but it has made me flourish. Congratulations, Bernadette. That is so awesome and so valuable and such a powerful message. I agree 100% that when we have the courage to listen, and sometimes it's not courage, sometimes it's like we can't not, because to not listen is to die. You know, that's kind of been my experience, you know, but it does take courage often, because it is often a path that leads us to traveling the world alone sometimes, right? Or to be a stranger in a strange land, so to speak. You know, I feel that in my family. You know, I feel very much a stranger in a strange land. Like our values are not shared values. Our dreams are not shared dreams. Our experience of the world is radically different. You know, thankfully, I have people in my life that I have shared vision and ambition and sensibility with. But so much of my life, I just felt so deeply alone and separate, you know, and misunderstood, unappreciated, you know, actually treated like there was something wrong with me, you know, just for having a very different worldview. It's so fascinating to me that we can be so profoundly different, that we can have such profoundly different experiences of life from one another. It's remarkable. Truly, it's like we are living in parallel universes, but alternate worlds, where there's just this sort of touching of these worlds, but not a not an integration of them. It's bizarre to me, just bizarre. So Bernadette says, our souls dictate what our life is supposed to look like and feel. I agree, Bernadette. Many tend to ignore these moments because it's different from everyone else's. Yeah, exactly. And the fear and repercussions and ramifications of being separate or being different are often enough to make us toe the line, to make us march in lockstep, right? And now more than ever, we need people to step out of that group hypnosis that has us believing that we're powerless. Like that's the thing that this other person kept saying, I can't do anything about it. Well, of course you can. And at least you can try. There's a multitude of things that you can do. But this was their way of excusing themselves, I think, from any kind of responsibility or engagement. It's so interesting. It's just so, it opened up a whole new awareness for me, I have to say, to recognize that we really truly couldn't be more different in so many ways. And it gave me a much deeper understanding of why I felt so alone growing up, and how grateful I am now to be finding other people that have similar concerns and awarenesses. It's to find my own tribe, so to speak. And I believe that when we listen to those parts of our inner being, that it brings us into a deeper ability to magnetize our own tribe, so to speak, or to attract other people. So Bernadette says, we hold all our power. It may not make sense, but if it's life altering, the soul will continue to move one in that direction. I believe that. I believe the more we listen, the more we trust the soul, the louder those whispers will become, the more clear our ability to hear them and respond to them and to live through that guidance. So, well, that's it today, all about listening. So I'm so grateful to you for joining and for contributing and being part of these conversations, even if you're just listening. And if you enjoy them, please share so that we can grow our community here. Rosalind, I'm going to read this real quick and then no more comments, guys, because I got to go. Our awareness will muffle out what's not important. Like driving to work for the first day, you might notice something and then not pay attention to that same landmark the next time because the mind is focusing on something different. Yeah, our focused awareness changes our experience profoundly, for sure. So anyway, lots and lots of love to you guys. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. I go live each weekday morning here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page at 9 a.m. Eastern. Please, please, please check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network, EWN, One with the Earth, and Enlightened World Living. And so glad you were here with us, Dido. And thank you all. I so look forward to being back here again with you very, very soon. Lots of love.